The most popular horror writer was inspired by one of the most haunted hotels in America, the Stanley Hotel. Welcome to Friday Night Ghost Rides from Haunted Road Media. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore with us. The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, is most notorious for being the hotel that inspired Stephen King to write his book, The Shining. In 1973, King and his wife checked into the hotel on the final day of the season, Halloween, and were the only overnight guests. The building was eerily quiet, and the Kings were staying in the notoriously haunted room 217. More on that in a moment. The writer claimed to encounter ghostly children playing in the halls and even a dinner party in the grand ballroom. However, it was his dream that night that set his work into motion. In the dead of the night, King woke up with what he called a tremendous jerk and sweating all over, nearly falling out of bed. He had been having a dream that his 3-year-old son had been running through the corridors, screaming while being chased down by a fire hose. King got out of bed, lit a cigarette, and sat down to gaze out over the majesty of the Rocky Mountains. By the time his cigarette was done, he had the basic premise for The Shining. While King's story about the Overlook Hotel was based on the Stanley and set in Colorado's Rocky Mountains, the exterior of the hotel in the film was the Timberline Lodge in Oregon, a markedly different looking hotel than the classic Stanley. The interior was built on a soundstage and based on the Ahwahnee Hotel in Yosemite National Park. The Shining's premise centers on Jack Torrance, an aspiring writer who takes a position as the Overlook Hotel's off-season caretaker. He and his family move into the hotel, but his son, Danny, who possesses psychic abilities known as The Shining, is able to see the hotel's tragic past through visions and the building's many ghosts. When a massive snowstorm leaves the family trapped at the hotel, the supernatural forces Danny has been seeing start to possess Jack, leaving the boy and his mother in danger. The new film sequel, Dr. Sleep, also based on the Stephen King novel of the same name, picks up the story decades later with Danny, who is still traumatized from the events of his childhood at the Overlook. He still has his shining psychic abilities and has found a way to use them for good. However, there are still angry spirits that want to use his abilities for more nefarious means. All of this is based on a single night in room 217 at the Stanley Hotel. So what goes on in this room and elsewhere within one of America's most haunted hotels? For decades, guests have reported a plethora of paranormal activity occurring in room 217, and this activity has been attributed to Elizabeth Wilson, the hotel's former head housekeeper, who most simply call Mrs. Wilson. Mrs. Wilson was caught in an explosion in room 217 in 1911. Back then, the hotel used gas lighting, and while lighting lanterns in the room one night, the gas erupted and she fell through the floor as it blew apart. She survived with her life, but broke both ankles in the fall. While Mrs. Wilson went on to live a happy life, many believe the haunting of the room is being caused by its former head housekeeper. Guests of the room have reported the lights being turned on and off, items being moved around, and their luggage being unpacked for them. Mrs. Wilson also seems to be a traditionalist, as many unwed guests have reported feeling a cold force come between them in bed at night. In addition to room 217, there are a number of other hauntings throughout the hotel as well, including the concert hall, which has several spirits roaming throughout. First, there's Paul, a former hotel handyman who roams the hall. He was a stickler for the 11 p.m. curfew and is said to still enforce that to this day. Many hear the phrase "get out" in the concert hall and attribute that to him. A construction worker also stated Paul kept nudging him one day while sanding the floor, and tour groups have claimed Paul has interacted with them. The ghost of hotel founder Flora Stanley is known to play the piano in the hall, and a ghost named Lucy is also said to inhabit there, although it's unknown what her connection to the hotel may be. The grand staircase is the beautiful and ornate centerpiece of the Stanley, a favorite spot for guests of the hotel, including the ghostly ones. Visitors to the hotel taking photographs of the grand staircase have reported capturing images of a ghostly woman at the top of the stairs. There's also the fourth floor rooms, which did not originally exist as rooms when the hotel was originally built. 100 years ago, the fourth floor was just massive attic space. In what is now room 401, guests have routinely reported a closet door that opens and shuts on its own. It could be one of the children playing in the room, as many guests also report hearing the sound of children running, laughing, and playing in the room when there are no children present. Also on the fourth floor is room 428, in which guests claim that they hear heavy footsteps and furniture being moved about on the floor of the room above them. However, that's physically impossible, since all that's above them is the roof with a severe slope. No one could possibly be up there. Other paranormal activity in the room includes a cowboy who occasionally appears at the corner of the bed. Underneath the hotel is a series of caves that hotel workers used to use to move about the hotel, and it's become a popular location during the Stanley Hotel's ghost tour. Some of the hotel's former employees are said to still travel through the tunnels, including the former chef, since there are occasions in which the aroma of baked goods will waft through the air. The tunnels are also said to be home of a ghost cat, which some have seen and claim that it's gray with glowing green eyes. As for the hedge maze is not purported to be haunted and was added to the hotel grounds to emphasize the connection between the Stanley Hotel and The Shining. However, while the hedge maze is a prominent feature in the film adaptation of the novel, it does not actually appear in Stephen King's novel itself. Other sightings are reported throughout the hotel, and some have actually said that the Stanley Hotel is a Disneyland for ghosts. For Stephen King, it was an inspiration straight out of his nightmares. And if you want to watch more videos of ghost stories of haunted locations throughout the world, please check out our other ghost story videos off to the side. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next Friday night.